What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolf Brother Mythos from the channel Wolf Brother Hobbies, and welcome to tonight's show. Tonight, I've got a lot to talk about with the not official release, but the leaked information of the entire Space Wolves Codex, and I got a lot of feelings on it, okay? I feel like when it was posted at the beginning of the week, I went through stages of grief, including finally at the end, acceptance. And I gotta admit, there's a lot about that I am salty. I already see tags in the chat about me being salty. But there is genuinely a lot of love about the new codex. So that is why this title is called My Love and Hate for the new Space Wolves Codex. Because I am feeling some kind of way. And that is, it's a lot of ways I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you know what I'm saying. So we're going to give it a few minutes for people to trickle in, and and then we'll jump into it. Of course, before we get into the news, as always, we like to talk about what we got for a poke chop, what you've been doing hobby-wise. Y'all feel free to let me know in the chat what you've been working on, what you got lined up for future projects, and I will show you some of the things that I've been working on. So currently, sitting here on my desk, I have 5 Custodes jet bikes, 1 Captain, and 4 of the actual Virtus Praetors. Now, I've already painted another, so that'll give me actually another Captain. So that'll give me 2 squads that I can do as a Captain and 2 bikes, or so 2 sets of a Captain and 2 bikes, or 1 set of a Captain with 3 bikes, if I just want to make up 1 big squad. If the feelings get too erratic, absolutely for her Midol. Okay. I see you. Lupus Canis, my friend, how are you doing, my brother? For us, for the All-Father. Speaking of which, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but those who don't know, hey, 10-man Solaris and a Commissar, that's awesome. Lots of people digging the new Heresy stuff, and honestly, I almost wish I had started my guard a year later, because a lot of the Solar Auxiliary stuff looks so good in place of regular guardsmen. Don't get me wrong, I love that I used the War Games Atlantic models, but man, especially the armor. Man, I could have done my entire Astra Militarum army in Horus Heresy, and I would have been happy. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy with my army the way it is, but it's just so good. Just so good. 10 Wolfen kit bashes and a digital Thunderwolf. Very nice. Oh my god, I never sent you the measurements. I am so sorry, brother. Your brother's got CRS, and I need to get you those measurements. That is such an ingrained tagline as soon as you get on camera. Exactly. You know, the frosted fist almost popped right out of my mouth. How you doing, Archer Man? Long time no see in the chat, my brother. So good to have you. So Hellchild, like I said, working on 10 Wolfen kit bashes and a digital Thunderwolf. Man, it kind of upsets me that I had 2 squads of Wolfen. I gave one of them away, my very first squad of Wolfen, to another oncoming 40k player who was just so in love with Space Wolves, so in love with Vikings. So I tried to help him out, and I just kept giving him models for free, including that first squad of Wolfen. I gave him my Crom Dragon Gaze. I gave him one of the rare, either, I think it was Pewter. It might have been Pewter, or either Finecast original Wolf Priests that had like the flip up helmet. Man, I gave him just a bunch of Space Wolves minis for free, and yeah, I guess less than a year later he decided, I'm never going to get time to Warhammer, so he sold off Space Wolf stuff, and man, I wish I had those Wolfen I gave away now, because Wolfen are back, baby! Anyways, we'll get to talking about them in a minute. I'm sporting some T-Sun bits that just got dropped from a creator follow and watching The Mandalorian. First of all, love The Mandalorian. Such an amazing series. So, you're definitely going to enjoy that. Glad to hear you're watching that. And speaking of T-Sons, I joined a narrative league in my, narrative campaign. Well, I think they're called Crusade games, right? The narrative campaigns. I joined a crusade in my local hobby shop. And I'm really excited about that. I have my very first Crusade game tomorrow, and it is 1,400 points because we started at 1,000 like most people do, and each of us used some requisition points to get our armies up to 1,400. Me and my opponent, that is. And so we'll be playing a 1,400 point game, and because I enjoyed playing them for like the first real like non-learner game time at the narrative event a month ago, I decided, you know what? Instead of playing them for one convention and then putting them on the shelf, let's play a little bit more of the Custodes. So, I had what I just painted up for the event, but now that I'm doing a whole campaign, I'm painting up more. So this week I've been hustling. I've done 5 of these bikers up to tabletop. So I'll get I think it's 2 automatic experience for getting them up to tabletop. They'll be tabletop in the morning. Tonight before bed, I'm going to put down some of the glue and some Geek Gaming Scenics, so that way they'll be based and then they can dry overnight. And then, they'll be battle ready then, and then I'll come back and, put down the power weapon effects and my heat bloom on my exhaust, like I normally like to do. But 5 of these guys to tabletop standard. And then, just like, just getting them to tabletop, that's what I've done here for 3 Terminators. All my Terminators have axes. I know that they're talked about as the worst attack option for Custodes, especially the Terminators and Wardens. The axes are considered the worst option, but I just like the axes. They look so cool. They look big and beefy, like they're going to do a bunch of damage. And I feel like as long as I use Shield Host a lot, honestly, I use Shield Host specifically for the +1 AP just to make axes work. And that's kind of like not very strategic, I know, to base your entire game strategy around trying to make a single weapon work, but all of my Wardens and all 6 of my Terminators are all kitted out with axes. So, I'm leaning into the axes, and I'm using the +1 AP from Shield Host to make them effective. So, yeah, I've got 3 Terminators done up to tabletop. They'll just like the bikes, they'll be tabletop once I slap some Geek Gaming Scenics on them before bed. So that has been my week. I've been hustling on the bikes and the Terminators. I'll replace them with some of my kit ones, Mythos. Oh, that would be amazing, my brother. New Space Wolf kits look really good. Kind of makes me want to pick back up my shelved Wolf Spear. They do look really good. Unfortunately, I wish I had the cash to grab one of the new Wolf boxes right now, because they go on pre-sale in the morning. But and 230 is cheaper than I thought they were going to be. I thought they were going to be 250, 260. So 230 is a little cheaper than I thought they were going to be, but still too much for me to take that hit right now. So I'm going to try and pick up bits and pieces here and there. Brother Hellworks already told me he's going to hook me up with some bits and a couple of the characters out of them and a codex, because he's getting multiple boxes. So I really appreciate that. Brother Hellworks is amazing, so big shout out to him. Speaking of shout outs, you'll see link down in the description below. We're going to talk about all the leaked news of the Codex, and of course there's several channels out there who have done full Codex reviews from the leaked Codexes. However, my favorite place to get news and reveals and leaks from is Auspex Tactics, as many of you know. The link to his original video is down in the description below. So, just full disclosure, I don't have this information. I totally got this information from my favorite news source, and that's where I'm taking the information tonight to talk to you all with it. Obviously, I'm not going to put his information up on the screen. I'm not going to show his video because I want to respect, his work. I'm sending you guys the link so you can watch the video yourself if you want to. But I do have the information up on another screen, and we're going to talk about this all tonight. I've seen a lot of clips, never actually watched the whole series. It's so good, my brother. And you know what? I don't care if he has a name. That baby will always be Baby Yoda to me. He may feel like, hey, I'm my own guy. I'm my own. But no, he's Baby Yoda for now and forever. Just in my heart. I'm going to pick up the kits over time too. Too broke to buy the box outright at the moment. Exactly. I know by picking up the pieces here and there, I'm going to pay more in the end because, you get the discount getting it all at once. However, it's just too much of an upfront cost at once for me. So yeah, I'm going to nickel and dime my way there. Ashley and Greg, Gamers with Coffee, another one of my favorite channels. I'm having me some Gamers with Coffee from the Gamers with Coffee coffee shop. Right now, the 6-bean blend, my absolute favorite from their shop. Definitely check it out. You can find out the links to all of their coffees if you go to their channel. So check out Gamers with Coffee and is it? Yes, it is gamerswithcoffee.com. You can check out their channel. I mean, not their channel. Their actual website, where they've got their coffees, teas, news, and events. You can check out their actual website, gamerswithcoffee.com. Get your own coffee, and like their teas are very good too. All right, Ashley, what you been hobbying on lately? I know you were painting up a bunch of stuff on the show on Sunday. So, I'm just going to go ahead and I guess, we got a lot to cover. It's an hour and a half show. We got a whole codex to go over. So I better go ahead and get into it. And we might run a little bit late tonight. But we're going to check it out. You guys let me know what you're working on. And as I talk about all this stuff, let me know your thoughts on everything as we talk about all of the Space Wolves goodness and maybe the things that are not so good. The Space Wolves salt, as it were. Because I love the new codex, but I ain't happy with everything. There's some things that are leaving me a little pissed. So, I am your wolf brother mythos, but, maybe Thomas and Archer were right. Maybe I'm also a little bit of the salt brother mythos. Me and Greg are out at dinner. Well, I am so honored that you chose to click on little old me while you guys are out to dinner. Have a wonderful dinner. And, hopefully it's also a little date. Whisper some sweet nothings to each other for me. Make sure you tell each other that I said that I love you. Oh, man. You guys have a wonderful dinner, though. I'm going to start with the salt first. And the salt is that, I have 8 Bound and a Berserker 13th Company kit batches. Should I do Emperor's Children 13th, too? Oh, man. All of those sound cool. And I am... Are you going to talk about any of the heresy drops that came out today? I'm actually not, because I haven't looked at them yet. So that'll probably be talking about next week. Like, literally all day. You guys, like I said, I've been watching Auspex Tactics video on this codex, and I don't always absorb a lot of information the first go around, and so I've put this video on like twice today, once yesterday, and then once at the beginning of the week when it came out. So I've been trying to really process and absorb this information, be able to talk about it tonight with you guys. So I've been really focused on all this codex stuff. I bet he did. So the thing that hurts me the most is I am a 10-year Space Wolf player, and the last I counted, I had over 6,000 points of Space Wolves, probably closing in on 7,000. And And yeah, I don't have much of an army left anymore at this point. It's gone, baby. It is gone. Like I updated, and of course I knew this day was coming, right? We've seen a lot of firstborn units disappear over time. And we all knew that one day firstborn would be no more and it would just be the Primaris. And it's not quite that day yet. But damn sure a lot of the firstborn stuff I love is missing out of this army now. And it hurts, man. It hurts. Oh, man. And it's like it changes the core of the way I want to play. But anyways, we'll talk about it. Let's get into it. The first thing on the things I hate. The things that makes me salty. We're going to talk about what we've lost as the Space Wolves in the 10th edition Codex. So I'm going to start with my baby. The very first Space Wolves unit my wife bought for me on a Christmas long ago, when I first started to make this my obsession, and she supported my obsession with a gift for my Space Wolves. And that is the Stormfang gunship with their itty-bitty wolves mounted on the bases. But yeah, for some reason I never got around to attaching the decals on. And damn, it's almost too late now. The Storm Wolf gunship and the Stormfang gunship have both been removed. That one hurts me. I love this thing. And I know a lot of people said it just looks like a flying box. You know, some people don't like the shape. I love the gunship because it's not meant to be a sleek fighter jet. It's a gunship, right? And it's kind of got a little bit of the feel of a Viking longboat, you know, in 40k flyer form. And I know that in 10th edition, flyers aren't supposed to be pretty good, but at least we still had the option to take them, even if we knew that they weren't going to be worth their points. And I did. I've taken this thing several times in 10th edition because I just like it. And so that is the first thing that breaks my heart. That is no longer in the Codex. Thunderwolves are still there, just no new refresh. Oh, but Thunderwolves, yeah. Thunderwolves lost everything but the Thunderwolves. That's what hurts me. We're getting there. We're getting there. Hounds of Mordecai. Oh, I forgot to grab mine out of the bin. Mine are still Primer Black. I'm actually kind of glad I haven't gotten around to painting them yet, because the fact that they are a relatively new unit for, they came out in Kill Team, like their Reaver models that came out a year or so after Reavers came out. Like, they're still a relatively new kit, and the fact that they're axed. You know, and I guess you can still run them as Reavers, but it is kind of crazy that they're gone. I don't even like Reavers. That's why I never got around to painting mine up. But it's kind of funny that they are already gone. Different kinds of wolf squads that we're just going to wrap all these up at one. Things like wolf scouts are gone. Things like my boys, the Skyclaws. The Skyclaws are no longer a unit in the Codex. Long Fangs, baby. These guys made their points back for me every time. It's funny because playing Space Marine Devastators, I never really get this. And they're the same unit. But for some reason, my Space Wolf ones, I guess because I have immediate threats with all the melee pushing up the board, that, people don't stop and look at the Long Fangs in the back. But like these guys, these Long Fangs always made their points back for me. Long Fangs, gone, I guess. And the crazy thing is that they're still locked out of being able to use Devastators. So they are, for their heavy weapon support right now, fully Primaris. They don't have Long Fangs anymore. They don't have Devastators. They are locked out. Named characters. Of course, every Thunderwolf character axed. Not a single one remains. So, the Wolfguard Battle Leader, Canis Wolfborn, gone. out. 86th. Canis Wolfborn and every other Wolfguard battle leader on Thunderwolf. Gone. No more support. Herald Deathwolf. With, by the way, the first time I ever used a color shifting paint was on his nice and shiny Ice Troll cloak here. But Herald Deathwolf. And this baby's fine cast. You know, one of the older fine cast models. So this guy's super light. But Herald Deathwolf. Gone. Out. No longer in the Codex. No longer a legal model. And not just the named Wolf Lord like Herald. Your generic Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf. And this kit bash here, this conversion, is my favorite Thunderwolf. And yeah, it's like one of my favorite all-time projects, having made this one up. I used several different kits. I used Herald Deathwolf's fine cast wolf. I used the body of the legs of Herald Deathwolf. I used the torso, cape, and the backpack from Ulrich the Slayer. This hammer here is from Spellcrow. And this face is one that I found on, I forget what bit site. The shield here is from Canis Rex. And it's one of my earliest uses of water effects on my bases. Yeah. This is my Wolf Lord mythos. This is when I was like, man, if I could be any Space Marine, I would want to be a Thunderwolf. I would want to be a Wolf Lord on Thunderwolf. I even painted up this Thunderwolf to look like Rasha, to look like Amander, my German Shepherd. So, anyways, my favorite model in my entire army, gone, out, no more generic Wolf Lords. You cannot attach any character of any kind to any Thunderwolves anymore. That hurts. That hurts a lot. I'll proxy biker characters as Wolf Riders, FUG dubs. Yeah, it's crazy. That feels pretty bad since it's such an iconic thing for Space Wolves. Exactly. And also play-wise, like, yeah, we're going to talk about this later as one of the things that make me happy. They buffed Thunderwolves. They're a little bit better in combat, but they're not so good that they'll replace having the hitting power of a captain or lieutenant or a battle leader or a Wolf Lord, you know, heading the pack with their massive melee might. You know, they're good. They're not character level good. You know what I'm saying? So that hurts me a lot. Again, one of my all-time favorites, just no longer in the Codex. Other named characters like where did I set you down? Oh, here we go. Lucas the Trickster. No longer in the Codex. Now, he's not going to get a Primaris version because if you look closely at the new Blood Claws kit, the person on the box and on the GW website they use as the pack leader or sergeant for that kit, the Blood Claws kit, looks exactly like a generic form of Lucas the Trickster. So they basically replaced Lucas with a generic Primaris version. So that, don't get me wrong, it's not a big loss of rules because Lucas never made a huge difference rules-wise. He didn't win you the battle or anything, but he was definitely a flavor character. You know, this was like taking Sly Marlboro, you know? It was a flavor pick. That flavor's gone, baby. Crom Dragon Gaze. I don't have mine to show you guys. Like I said, I gave it away to that new Space Wolf player. And what's funny is that same Space Wolf player, when they decided, you know what, I don't have time for this, I'm just going to get out of the game, actually called me and said, Mythos, you've been so helpful to me on my Space Wolves journey. I just wanted to see if I sold off my Space Wolves, would you like first dibs on buying the Space Wolf army? I said, well, I don't need a whole army. I've got a lot of Space Wolves, but I'll tell you what, I'm more than happy to pay you back full price for the Space Wolf units that or not full price because I gave it to him for free, but I'm like, yeah, I'll pay you back, or I will pay you for all the units that I've given you. I'll just take those back. He goes, oh, I already sold those off. I mean, I'll give you first choice on whatever's left. Mother trucker, if you give me first dibs on what's left over, that's not first dibs, baby. Anyways, I wish I still had the Chrome Dragon Gaze to show you guys. It's a cool model. That one, again, he was very seldom seen, very seldom used, very seldom ever talked about. I think we all knew that it was coming, that Crom probably was going to make it to the Primaris era. But once again, it doesn't feel good. Different leaders. We have no more access to Terminator Wolf Lords, Terminator Wolf Priests. I mean, we do have a new Wolf Priest coming out, but we no longer have access to Terminator Wolf Priest. By the way, this one is crafted by the amazing Atlas with his great kit bashing ability, and kit bashed by Atlas and then painted up by Freak. So this is a special unit in my army. We got some stunning new Wolfguard Terminator models, though. I am excited about that. But we did lose access to Wolfguard Terminators with Cyclone Missile Launcher. Now Wolfguard can only take the Assault Cannon, and because they can only take the Assault Cannon now, this model is no longer valid for my army, and now I am one Terminator short of being able to run my Wolfguard Terminators. The hell? Frustrating. We lost the ability to take pack leaders in Terminator armor as so before you could take any of your Space Wolf squads, your Longfangs, your Blood Claws, your Grey Hunters, any of your Space Wolf specific units, you could upgrade your pack leader to a pack leader in Terminator armor, which would give you the hitting power of one Terminator hidden in your pack of normal guys, which was pretty cool. We lost those now. No more Terminator pack leaders. So you guys can see, I've lost a lot of stuff that was part of my army. And then, of course, we're going to talk about this. This I'm going to list in a love and hate side. So you'll see here, my Bjorn's now got the Hellfrost Cannon. But what I originally built him with was the Las Cannon version. What I used him in every game with was the Las Cannon version. Because, in my opinion, that was the best way ever to run Bjorn, is with Las Cannons, because he's got that badass True Claw in combat. He's got good flamer damage. If he gets charged, he can overwatch. But in my opinion, if you got him close enough to get into fights, well, in my case, I always felt like he was more of a sit back and buff your army kind of unit. Gain the CP or the buffs he used to give out in 8th and 9th edition. He was a buffing unit. He was a warlord unit, And so I would have rather kept, tossing shots down the lane with my Las Cannons and help contributing to the fight that way. However, he's lost that ability. He now just has access to the Las Cannon, the Hellfrost Cannon, and the Assault Cannon options, which in my opinion is a big old nerf for Bjorn. He did get some buffs. When we talk about his stats, you'll see that. But overall, losing the Las Cannons, I think, is a big nerf for Bjorn. I'm joining the salty camp. I'm sorry, man. I know you were excited, but I'm feeling the salt. So, I had to, I didn't mean to transfer it to you, but I kind of did, but okay. And then, of course, how we talked about this early, I love the new model for Logan Grimnar. However, I do heavily lament this awesome cavalry chariot pulled by his two wolves. Thankfully, he did get to keep the wolves. The wolves are now on his base. The wolves get their attacks in combat still. But I loved the cavalry chariot. This is one of the Thunder Wolves and the Wolf Chariot were two things that definitely made me want to get into Space Wolves. Literally, the entire reason I joined Space Wolves, I made them my first army, was the cavalry and the cavalry chariot. So, this is gone. You can't, I mean, Logan himself isn't gone. You now can just use him as a Terminator. And he and Arjak are going to be the only characters that can be run with your Wolfguard Terminators. But, so you still have Logan, just not going to be on the chariot anymore. So we lost a lot of shit, guys. A lot of shit. And we lost, finally, the Cyberwolf. Cyberwolf, not a big loss, but again, a little bit of flavor. And, you know, it was always kind of cool that if you were just had 15 points to spare, you could just have that one unit, just, you know, and of course they changed it. You can't hold objectives with wolves anymore. That's been changed for a while now, but it used to be fun if you just had that spare 15 points just to sit there and hold an objective behind some ruins or some out of the way place. You know, it was just a good, like, objective doer. But anyways, that's all the stuff we lost. That is my main issue with the Codex so far, is all the stuff we lost. And it hurts. Like I said, I barely have a viable fighting force. Like, I barely do. But I don't even know how many points I have left at this point. So I've got one squad of 5 intercessors. I've got one squad of 5 assault intercessors. I've got one squad of eradicators, one squad of hellblasters, one squad of aggressors. And I guess I still have all the cavalry. They're still there, right? I've got a Redemptor. And I've got Blade Guard. So I've got about 7 units. Maybe there's a couple that I'm not thinking about right now. So you could possibly round it up to, 10. Oh, I've got a Blade Guard Lieutenant Captain too. Let's round it up. Say I have maybe a dozen units. But going from a 6,000 point army to, like, I don't even know if I could play a 1,500 point game anymore. You know, that hurts. That hurts. I lost a lot. That's why you guys are hearing me talk about, you know, I'm going to have to rebuild. I literally am going to have to rebuild up the entire army. All right. Let's see. That's my next bookmark is going to be at 7:20. This is me time stamping, so if anything catches your attention, you want to check it out on when you go look at Auspex Tactics video. Then, you know, feel free. This next data point I'm going to talk about is at 7 minutes and 30 seconds. But another thing, while we're talking about the things I hate, and I don't even know if hate, I'm just putting this in the things I'm not excited about category. There's going to be some changes and restrictions to this codex. So I can see pluses and minuses on both sides here. A lot of people complained for a while that the non-codex Marines are too strong because they have everything the Space Marines can do, plus more. So maybe this is a good way to kind of create that separation, but most of the rules we're going to talk about today are for specifically Space Wolf units only. So even though Space Wolves can take a lot of Marine units, their rules and buffs are specifically going to be for Space Wolf units only. Now, that is maybe a first balance to try and make non-Codex armies not just outrightly stronger than Codex armies? I don't know. I think the buff that Codex armies get on Oath of Moment helps do that. I can kind of see that this way. Also, part of me, tinfoil hat, says maybe they're doing that because they want you to buy all of these brand new Primaris Space Wolf units that they've just come out with. And that's what the tinfoil hat says. Along those same lines and thoughts, though, there is now a great split in the Space Wolf armies. Even though we all technically serve the Allfather, we all technically are sons of Russ, now your Space Marine units cannot be led by a Space Wolf specific character. And your Space Wolf specific units cannot be led by a generic Marine character. So things like where one of the things that was popular to do is to take up a full load of 6 Blade Guard veterans and put Ragnar Blackmane with them, can't do it anymore. Granted, you'll have head takers to take their place now, but yeah, it's just one of the ways that you can kind of see that same kind of thing. Or assault intercessors were really good because assault intercessors could give you reroll 1s to wound on the point. And back then, I think Ragnar could get like 12 attacks that you're rerolling 1s to wound. So those were very popular combinations that you can't do anymore. And same way around, you can no longer stick just like, hey, I don't want to pay extra for a had Ragnar with 3 Blade Guards and a Judiciar with 10 blocks of Wolf Guards. Can't do that no more. Exactly. Welcome to the chat, by the way, Kale. So that is definitely another change that it feels kind of like a rift, like a dyssynergy in your army. That one, like I said, I can see why they're trying to create some of that separation so that we're not just outrightly better than Codex chapters. But at the same time, it feels like you're losing some synergy in your own army, which doesn't feel great. Another thing that's going to be kind of a nerf in this new set of rules is that none of the Space Wolf detachments get Armor of Contempt. And I think that's a first for the... yeah, exactly. I think it's a pretty blatant nerf as well. And this one really feels like a blatant nerf. Losing Armor of Contempt. And if I remember correctly, I think all of the other non-Codex compliant Marines... your Angels, both flavors of Angels, your Death Watch, I think they all still have access to Armor of Contempt. So I think we're right now the only Marines that don't get access to Armor of Contempt. So that's kind of that feels like a direct nerf, a big tap on the forehead. Then, granted, if in one of the detachments we'll talk about, there is an enhancement that gives one unit an Armor of Contempt, like ongoing. But it's weird that just they don't have Armor of Contempt anymore. Now I say that, much like the other non-Codex compliant chapters, you can still pick any of the detachments for Vanilla Space Marines. You still have access to that. So if you still love Thunderwolves, maybe oh my gosh, my mind is blanking. Storm. Oh my gosh, I've just hadn't even realized we lost Armor of Contempt. Stormlance, thank you so much. It just mid-sentence, it disappeared out of my head. You can still use Stormlance and get your Armor of Contempt back. But yes, just specifically the Space Wolf oh, I'm sorry. That's another thing we lost, though. We don't have regular Wolfguard anymore. We only have Wolfguard Head Takers and Wolfguard Terminators. We no longer have power armored Wolfguard anymore. Isn't that crazy? So, yeah, you can't put Ragnar with Wolfguard anymore unless you put him with the Head Takers. Tell child. So, yeah, that's a lot of stuff that just feels weird. Now, that being said, I've gotten a lot of salt out of the way. Okay, and I know I started off strong with the salt, but I'm kind of walking you guys through it the way I felt it when I first went through the Codex reviews. I felt off first, just a straight up shock, and then anger, and then I kind of grieved for my army for a little while, believe it or not. I was sad, and I was like, man, maybe I'm just going to pack up the Space Wolves for now and put them in a box. And I might still do that with a bunch of the Firstborn stuff that's gone, just to make space, but yeah, I was straight. So it was like I was shocked, I was mad, I was sad. I had an extra stage of grief because I was just salty for a little while. But then, you know, I started to understand and eventually accept some things, you know, and there are still things I like. There's actually quite a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about the army rules, but first, let's go ahead and get it out of the way. Of course, we do still have Oath of Moment, and we're going to look at a lot of stuff Oath of Moment's still going to be great for. We're going to have 3 mechanics, and all of them based on the sagas. Now, let me tell you, even though I love Space Wolves, you know, I'm a Space Wolves for life kind of guy. I've never liked the sagas mechanic. A lot of them felt so niche that, you know, it just felt like if your opponent knows that you're playing sagas, they're just going to play keep away with your characters, and you won't really achieve anything. I did start to like it last balance patch when they said, starting from now, you can always have 1 saga active. And I was like, okay, that gives me a reason to take sagas again. So I started enjoying that. This, right now, to me, is the best iteration of sagas that they've done so far. Kudos to GW for that. I think I'm going to like this new saga system. So, the new saga system, with the new saga system, there's going to be a lower tier version. You're going to get some of the buff, and then you're going to get more of the buff later on. Okay, so there's going to be a low power, high power. Like you start off with a rule, but then if you accomplish whatever mechanic or goals you're supposed to, you get an even better rule. There doesn't seem to be any restrictions on these detachments, or, you know, that are all saga based. You're going to have your generic ones, you know, like we've always had. So we don't have devastators, we don't have tacticals, we don't have apothecaries. One thing we're going to look at, though, when we look at stats, though, the chaplain actually acts like an apothecary now. So I think feels like the first time that we've really had our own apothecary, what feels like ever. All right, now, because I am so enthused with the new sagas, we're going to jump straight into my favorite of the new sagas, my favorite of the new detachments, which is Saga of the Beast Slayer. And that is completely based on, you know, the fact that the children of Fenris grow up hunting down big mega fauna, big beasts such as the ice krakens and things like that on Fenris. So it is amazing to me because for me, 7th edition, 8th edition, 9th edition, the Thunderwolves were always kind of reliable for the Thunderwolves. Wolfen for, you know, 7th and 8th edition were always really good at being able to take the, you know, just punch and melee above their weight class, right? They could punch out monsters, vehicles, stuff like that. I once took a squad of Wolfen led by a wolf priest and punched a knight to death in 1 round of combat. Maybe that was, yeah, okay, I can admit that's probably a little overpowered. But yeah, then they went to being able to do nothing against them, especially with the 10th edition system of strength moving up to, you know, before, if you max out your strength at 8 or 10, you could still put a hurting on vehicles, because I think at the time 8 and 9 was the highest toughness you'd be going up against. But now that vehicles go up to 10, 11, 12, 13 toughness, you know, you can't really the Space Wolves couldn't really melee vehicles like they used to be able to. Oh, exactly. They cut out all of our Wolf Lords on foot. We have no more captains to compensate the Wolf Lord role, unless you take the named Ragnar Blackmane. Exactly. Yeah, Hammer Squad and Aryak. All of my Termies have hammers. Uh, so I guess my Wolf Guard Terminators are going to be bust down to Assault Terminators. Feels bad, man. But this new detachment, Saga of the Beast Slayer, is going to restore our ability to melee vehicles and monsters and give us some extra fighting power against characters to boot on top of that. So, the core rule is called Legendary Slayers. So remember how I said the new sagas, you get one beginning tier of the rule and then one higher tier of the rule if you unlock the saga? So the core rule, or the beginning rule, is that lethal hits for all Astartes units in your army against character, monster, and vehicle datasheets. So if you're just spanning stuff that has lots of hits, you're going to be more likely to get those lethal hits to automatically wound whatever it is, regardless of what your strength and what their toughness is. That feels great. Then, if you complete your saga, you get lethal hits against everything. So, what do you have to do to get that extra buff? Saga the Beast Slayer. If you have destroyed half or more of your opponent's total number of vehicles, monsters, and character datasheets, then the saga is achieved. That's it. So if you're already using that rule to beat up vehicles, characters, and monsters, then you're naturally going to unlock the next tier of it. So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy, which I'm really excited about. That for me right there, that's my go-to. That's what I'm going to be playing with. Can still run them as Wolfguard, but use power weapon stats. That's true. That's true. Doesn't feel as good. I would much rather have a whole squad of hammers. Man, it's like they don't want us to have full squads of hammers anymore. It is frustrating, though. Glad I waited to do wolves. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's why I'm going to have to be redoing so many of my wolves now, because, yeah, it's there's just so many things that they're just like, even if they have the same units, we're not going to let them use the old loadouts. Damn. I had actually foreseen them taking Hammer away from the guard, but not taking Aryak away from Assault Termies. Yeah, that is the really frustrating thing about the Wolves not being able to lead generic units anymore, is because there's, like I said, there's certain synergies that just don't work anymore. So, it's a really good detachment rule. Lethal hits is going to make you far better at punching up against the really high toughness stuff, which is, like I said, the progression of toughness in 10th edition is one of the things that really neutered the Space Wolves' ability to fight vehicles and monsters in this edition. This right there takes away that limit by just getting in a better volume of hits, especially if you do have things with, such as, the great axes, the hammers, things that are going to let you do that a good number of hits and also at the same time high damage. So, what comes with that detachment? We're going to look at some of the stratagems. The first one is called Thunder's Pursuit. A Space Marine unit gets a reactive move of d6 inches when an enemy moves within 9 in their movement phase. Now, this is where the extra buff that comes in. If you're specifically a Space Wolves unit, you can automatically move 6, no rolling d6. Reactive moves are very strong in just about any army, so it's good to see that the Space Wolves got some. Welcome, Charles. So good to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight, my friend. I hope you've been well. So, reactive moves, very strong in any army, so that's always good to see. Another one, and that was 1 CP. Another 1 CP, Impetuosity. Wolfen and Bloodclaws can do a surge move after the enemy has shot and destroyed a model in their shooting phase. Now, the crazy thing is that you have to declare this when an enemy selects that unit as a target, then you can spend. However, if they don't kill a model, you don't get to move. So it's kind of a gamble, but still, a D6 surge is actually really strong. So you could possibly move out of their way, so that way they can't get a charge off on you. Possibly get into cover, so that way another unit can't shoot at you, or out of line of sight. Or you could move closer to them, so that way on your next turn, you can ensure you get into combat. So you can also, you have to go towards the nearest unit. Sorry. But you can also do that to get an engagement range. So if you sneak into an engagement range, that's it. They can't shoot you anymore. And then because they didn't declare a charge, it counts as an ongoing combat when it goes over to the battle phase, which means you get to swing with that unit first. And then, of course, 1 CP, coordinated strike. One Space Wolves unit wholly within 9 inches of the battlefield can just leave the edge of the battlefield and at the end of an enemy fight phase, and then you can come back as a reserve unit on your next turn. So it's kind of like the quote-unquote uppy-downy rule, except it's from the edge and then back onto the edge. So it's pretty neat. All of those uppy-downy rules to be able to move around the battlefield are very useful. Can help you get to different objectives or get different line of sights on enemies. It's pretty good. Next one, Unbridled Ferocity. 1 CP. This one I think is the best stratagem in the lot. +1 to wound in the fight phase for any Space Wolves unit. That sounds really good. It's a straight up damage buff. +1 to wound. Plus they're already getting lethal hits. Yeah, that's going to be really great. Your Wolfen units, your Thunder Wolves, that's going to be great for. And, of course, your different Wolf Guard units like the Terminators or the Head Takers, they're going to enjoy it too. Mr. Fish, happy freaking Friday. Wow. Good to see you, Fish, my man. Welcome to the chat, brother. Another one, Shock Cavalry. Now, again, you guys know I love Cavalry. It's my reason for playing Space Wolves. Thunder Wolves can now move through non-Titanic models and sections of terrain that are less than 4 inches height this phase. Being able to move through terrain is huge. Being able to move through your squad, an enemy squad, huge. So if they're trying to screen you out and they've just got, a block of infantry in your way and you want to get past the screening unit to something important, first of all, we're going to talk about this in their stats. Thunderwolves have been buffed to 12-inch move again, like they had in 7th edition, and that's usually plenty of movement to move through a squad. So if they're screening you out, you just go right through them. Just like if you think about historically, when cavalry would ride through a group of infantry, provided that they're not, they don't have a bunch of spears mounted, but usually they could ride through the unit, cleave down some along the way, and just cut right through them. And that's kind of what they're able to do here, which is kind of nice. One of the biggest weaknesses of cavalry is that they always would have to go around terrain and around screening units or get caught up fighting a screening unit. So being able to just phase right through them is awesome. Awesome. 1 CP for pinning fire. Space Marine unit shooting a character unit, monster, or vehicle and causes it to be pinned until your next shooting phase. While they're pinned, they're -2 to move and -2 to charge. That could be huge, especially if you're fighting against another melee army like Custodes, maybe some Chaos Terminators. But if they're fighting against something that also moves slowly and they're coming for you, taking away 4 inches of movement can definitely make or break some charges. I'm going to run Beast Slayer with a Wolf-touched Wolf Priest. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I've been thinking the same, brother. I'm not sure if I want to put the priest with the Wolfen, or if I want to put them with the Head Takers. I still haven't decided yet. Late to the party, but looking forward to Gladius Space Wolves. Gladius is still good, but I think the new detachments look great. All right. Speaking of our brother Kale here. Why not one of each? That's true. That's true. Speaking of Wolf Touched, he said he was going to put Wolf Touched on his Wolf Priest. Here we go. We're looking at Wolf Touch here. It's a 15-point enhancement. Well, I say 15 points. They always do a a balance patch to change, so it doesn't matter what points these are printed with. They always change the points or rebalance the points after the codex comes out. But so far in the book, it's 15 points, and what this does is it gives a model +2 movement and can be attached to both types of Wolfen squads. And I say both types because before it was like you could take claws, great axes, or hammers. Now they're just, frost weapons or hammers, right? And so, which is, before you had to, even if you took all axes, you had to take one with double claws. So they're kind of forcing you to say, you have to buy another box now because your units don't all match anymore, which is fine. I'll give you the Wolf Touch. All right. But that is cool. So this is the first time in 10th edition you've been able to attach a leader to Wolfen, which is pretty cool. And now we're going to talk about this later, but the new stats for Wolfen are good again. So I'm hella excited about that. Hunter's Guile is the next one we're going to talk about. This one is actually for a Space Marine model, so you can actually take this on a non-Space Wolf unit. After armies are deployed, you can redeploy 3 Thunderwolf, Wolfen, or Bloodclaw units, and you can even put them in reserves if you need. Redeploy can be kind of useful, especially if, for Space Wolves, I think a particular use for them is, if you wanted to play full aggression melee and you start everything out on your front line, and then you find out, maybe you're not going first. Maybe you can reposition them and pull them back. Or maybe just seeing the deployment, you've put all of your attack on, let's say, the left flank. But then they set up all their strong shooting units, like a Riptide or the Rogaldorn, on that left flank. You just want to redeploy them over to the right flank, where your melee units are less likely to get shot in the face. Small reminder, Termies can get benefits from enhancements as no generic leader can attach. Interesting. Elder's Guidance. I like this one a lot. This one's why I'm tempted to put a Wolf Priest with the Blood Claws. Think of a great big 10-man block of Blood Claws, or maybe even 20. That would be so cool. You can, once per game in the fight phase, that is a limiting. It's only once per game. But if leading a Blood Claws unit, you could add 1 to the AP of weapons, melee weapons in the squad. Man, being able to put your chain swords from a big block of Blood Claws up to AP2 would be pretty cool. I'm going to have to look and see what the max Wolfen number is. I think when we get to stats, I might be able to tell you. We'll have to see about that. But so that Elder's Guidance looks pretty cool. Again, it's only once per game, but that could be a ton of attacks coming in at AP2. Especially, if you think about how many hits a Bloodclaw gets, you could be possibly stacking up a lot of lethal hits on something. Wolfen are 5 to 10. Thank you, Kale. But Blood Claws are going to get a lot of opportunity with all those hits to stack up those lethal hits. So you could even be doing that against something mega tough, like a Rogaldorn or a Baneblade or a Knight. That would be kind of funny. You put them up to AP2, and next thing you know, they're stacking on a bunch of lethal hits, especially if you're using Oath of Moment to re-roll anything that's not a lethal hit to try and fish for more lethal hits. You're just stacking up AP2 lethal hits, putting that Knight up to what is it? You'd be putting up to from a 3+ to a 5+, Yeah, that sounds like a pretty fun list there. So yeah, lots of cool stuff here. All right, so that is my favorite of the detachments, Beast Slayer. Lots of exciting stuff in that one. We're going to move on to the Saga of the Bold next. And this one is kind of got that Champions of Fenris. If any of you ever played the Champions of Fenris attachment in 7th edition, this one really feels like that. This one is all about spamming characters. Detachment Saga of the Bold is about boasts, things you can brag about. Oh yeah, why not 120 blood claws? Hell yeah. So Saga of the Bold, all about boasts, and the more boasts that you brag about and actually complete, then the better your buffs get. So we'll talk about it. Um, each time a Space Wolves character unit from your army does one of the following, that unit achieves a boast. Once 3 or more boasts have been achieved by units from your army, your saga is completed. All right, so these things are uh, there we go. Core rules called Heroes All, and this is the first tier of what you're going to get. Okay, character units can re-roll one hit, wound, or damage roll when shooting or fighting each turn. However, if you complete all 4 of your boasts, then you get to achieve re-roll hits for all units, and it's re-roll a hit, wound, and damage. Big difference. Big difference. So it is a little harder to complete than, say, the Saga of the Beast Slayer, but it can be effective for lots of units. Now, I still feel like over time, even if you complete this, I feel like you're going to stack up more damage with Beast Slayer, but this one still seems pretty good, and it sounds kind of fun. It gives you like a little mini game to play along the way. So here are your side objectives. First one, your hide as a trophy. That's what it's called. That unit, if you have a character unit that destroys your Oath of Moment target, that's very likely. Especially, I mean, you just have to make sure that one of your units, one of your character units, is going to end up killing, is the Oath of Moment target. Pretty easy. If you have a character unit that's the next one is slay them all. Blah, 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 blah. If that unit destroys your Oath of Moment target, and that is the second Oath of Moment target destroyed by that unit in this battle. Okay, so once again, you're going to take if one of your character units destroys 2 Oath of Moment targets, boom, that's 2 objectives unlocked. Overrun their position. At the end of either player's turn, that unit is wholly within your opponent's deployment zone. Man, if you got something deep striking, like those Wolfguard Terminators, or something like that, you have a character unit back there. Now, it's got to be a Space Wolves character specifically, so if you're deep striking, it's going to be with either Aryak or Logan Grimnar. But yeah, if you end up all the way in your deployment, you can't put them with Thunderwolves anymore and just run across the board. But yeah, if you make it across the board, you got a character unit wholly in their deployment zone, boom, that's objective number 3. And you don't have to do them in order. These can be in any order. And they'll hold the line. From the second battle round onwards, at the end of your command phase, if that unit is wholly within range of an objective marker you control that is not within your deployment zone, you score a boast. Just clear 3 out of 4 of those, and then that's it. You're done, completed. You get to reroll every unit, hit, wound, and damage. It's pretty spicy. I like it. Thank you so much, Lupus, who says 11 watching, 2 likes. Smash the button, please. Thank you so much, brother. All right, so what stratagems comes with Saga of the Bold? 1 CP is called Inspiring Presence. A Space Marine character unit fighting gets lethal hits in the fight phase. It's nice. It's an easy damage boost. Hey, 7 likes. Thank you, guys. So, Inspiring Presence, getting lethal hits in the fight phase is nice damage boost, easy to use. However, for 1 CP, that's pretty good. Though if you go straight to Beast Slayer, you can get those lethal hits anyways. So it's something to think about. But if you are using Saga of the Bold, it is a good damage increase. 1 CP, Champion's Guidance. Space Wolves character unit can reroll hits, and this can be used while shooting or fighting. Rerolling hits is good. It's kind of you're already getting Oath of Moment, but if you weren't sure where you wanted to put your Oath of Moment buff, like I kind of need rerolls over here, and I've kind of need rerolls over here, then you could do it twice. You could get your rerolls in 2 different places. So that can be handy, but because you do have Oath of Moment, it's a little more niche. 1 CP, Birth of a Saga. In the command phase, 1 Wolfguard Head Taker model or Terminator Pack Leader can gain the character keyword until the next command phase. So this one is interesting because Telemachus, I hope you are well, my friend. Good evening, Telemachus. So this one, these are your damage dealing groups. It seems like you would want to put a character with your Terminators and Head Takers. However, if you didn't and you needed one to be a character, for instance, these boasts, these side objectives are unlocked by doing these actions with a character unit. So if you needed them to be a character unit for a hot second, maybe you didn't have the points for a character for that squad, or maybe he got sniped out by something with precision. Okay, in that case, you'd say, boom, this guy's a character now, and he's going to accomplish this boast, and that's going to get me my next objective, which could be pretty cool. 1 CP, we have something called Alpha Strike. It's a Space Marine character unit, can advance and charge. You guys know, as a melee army, advance and charge of any kind is huge. That's why a lot of Space Wolf players do play Stormlance, because advance and charge is very, very good in this kind of army. But yeah, it's a more guaranteed combat. It increases your threat range. For 2 CP now, everything in Saga of the Beast Slayer was 1 CP. Here we're going to look at 2 stratagems that are 2 CP. Heroic Resolve, 2 CP, -1 damage for a Space Wolves character in an enemy a character unit in an enemy shooting phase. -1 damage is good. It's a bit pricey though for 2 CP, but if you know you've got a lot of damage 2 or damage 3 attacks coming in, an automatic -1 damage could be really, really helpful. Then 2 CP for Countercharge. Space Marine character unit can declare a charge against 1 or more units within 6 inches. So that's a pretty nice, usually Heroic Intervention's 3 inches. This is a full 6 inches, and you get to declare that charge. It says specifically declare a charge, by the way. So you're declaring a charge, charges go first, right? So that's pretty good. Declare a charge against 1 or more units within 6 inches at the end of an enemy charge phase. If they're successful, that unit does not get any charge bonuses this turn. Okay, so you won't get the fights first. I misunderstood that. Good thing that they had a note there. Again, shout out to Auspix Tactics. Always got lots of good information. But Uh, you didn't get charged, so if desired, you might get the opportunity to act first. Honestly, though, if they know that you charge there, they're probably going to start there because they know that you can interrupt there. All right. Saga of the Bold enhancements. This first one, probably the best out of the set for Saga of the Bold. Skjald, Space Marine character upgrade. Gain 1 CP if a Space Wolves character unit achieves a boast while this model is on the battlefield. So you could actually give it to a generic Space Marine unit like a captain. But if any Space Wolves character anywhere on the field achieves a boast, you get 1 CP back. And like I said, there's 4 of those boasts you can achieve. So that could be, a potential 4 CP achieved every game if your plan is going well for your boasts. So that one could be value earning every game. Unless you're taking Bjorn and you're already getting a CP every turn anyways. But that one could definitely have value. And it would be a lot cheaper to take, let's say, a captain or lieutenant with Skjald on it, or a battle leader if you were going to take a battle leader, or a wolf priest. If you are going to take one of those units anyways and you wanted to just, hey, I've got 15 points to spare, give it to them. That 15 points is going to be a lot cheaper than paying extra to bring Bjorn along for that CP generation. So, something worth considering. Braggart Steel. Space Wolves character gets +2 strength to the bearer's melee weapon. And if the bearer's unit achieved a boast, it also gets an extra damage. That's pretty cool. Theoretically, you could have this one activated by turn 1 if you manage to have your character unit kill a unit turn 1, or turn 2, if you march them up to the midfield and you stand on an objective that's not in your deployment zone. Turn 2 onward, boom, that's active. Then all of a sudden, let's say you had a Space Wolf battle leader with Thunderhammer. That Thunderhammer now becomes damage 4 from turn 2 onward. That could be pretty amazing. And it would be strength 10 damage 4. That's pretty tasty, not going to lie. That actually kind of makes me want to think about putting a battle leader with Wolf Touched and with a squad of Hammer Wolfen and a big damage 4 FU Hammer. Yeah, that sounds like it'd be great. And just march them up the center. We got Horde Slayer. Space Wolf model only. If there are more enemy units than friendlies on the battlefield within 6 inches at the start phase, or more enemy models, I'm sorry, than friendly models within 6 inches of the fight phase, then add 2 attacks to melee weapons. Really good if you're clearing out a lot of bodies. Orcs, guardsmen, Eldar bodies. That could be, pretty fun to work with. It does seem a bit niche. You have to know you're specifically going up against a horde, but it could be fun. And then the Thunderwolf's Fortitude, Space Marine model. First time the bearer is slain on a 2+, you can set it back up again at the end of phase, out of engagement range with 3 wounds remaining. That's pretty nice. I like, because, some of those you come back with like D3 or 1 wound. Oh, yeah, Wolf Touched, you're right. I'm thinking Beast Slayer and taking Wolf Touched. See, my brain is already mixing up detachments. Okay, that would be cool. But yeah, you can't do that. Still, the battle leader with maybe a damage 3, strength 8 hammer with the Hammer Wolf could still be fun. Possibly. Priest also sounds really good, though. I think just to experiment with, because I do have a battle leader coming from Brother Hellchild, maybe sticking 1 battle leader with the Wolfen and the Priest with a big old blob of Blood Claws. That could be fun. All right, we're going to jump into the third detachment, Saga of the Hunter. This one, honestly, my least favorite. Uh, it seems a little more tedious, and uh, for not as good of a payout. So it just overall seems the least effective. But it does seem like if you were skilled at uh, the nuances of Warhammer, you could probably make this one work. But the theming is wolves working together in a great pack to bring down their prey. Detachment roll is called Pack's Quarry. If you make a melee attack with a Space Wolves unit that targets an enemy within engagement range of another Astartes unit, you get to add 1 to the hit roll, and if you complete your saga, you get to add 1 to the wound roll. +1 automatically to hit is really nice. +1 automatically to wound. Beautiful, beautiful. So I think this could be extremely good. The only problem is it's going to take a lot more finesse to coordinate those double tap strikes. Now, if you take a bunch of I heard one tactic Auspex mentioned. If you take several units of Fenrisian wolves and use their high mobility, to be that coordinated strike and get them there at the same time as your other units get there to make an attack, that could possibly help. However, Fenrisian wolves die to a stiff breeze, so it's a risk. But if you can make it work, if you can successfully set up the coordinated strikes, there are some great payouts. What do you have to do to accomplish your saga? You got to keep a quarry tally of how many total enemy units you have destroyed specifically in the fight phase. So this one's a little bit more tedious, a little more bookkeeping. Once the tally reaches 2 for incursion, 3 for strike force, and 4 for onslaught, your saga is complete. So up to 1,000 points, you got to kill 2 things, 3 units specifically in the fight phase, up to 2,000, and then beyond 2,000, you got to kill 4 units. So keeping up that many units isn't too tedious, but it's just something you got to keep on the back of your mind. Can Alpha strike with my little Fenris? Can't Alpha strike with my little Fenrisian wolves anymore. I like Scout Advanced Charge with the Cyber Wolf. Yes, I missed that as well. I also enjoyed, before I would do that and then have a wolf priest come up the field and give them all that +1 to wound. Oh man, that was nice. So yeah, it's a like I said, it's going to take some tactics and tactical thinking, some nuance, coordinating double taps, but it could be pretty cool. For the first stratagem, we're looking at 1 CP called Envelop and Ensnare. 1 Space Wolves unit that is not a monster or vehicle can pile in and consolidate 6 inches this phase and doesn't need to go towards the closest model, provided it moves towards the closest unit. So, piling and consolidating an extra 6 inches can definitely help you rapid trap things. That's what Envelop and Ensnare is. It's just, a better way to rapid trap. This thing, when we look at the stats, you're going to see that Space Marine units, or Space Wolf units, are getting bigger, 10 to 20. So you're not really able to do MSU with Space Wolf units anymore, but the bigger unit size does make wrapping and trapping a lot easier. 1 CP for territorial advantage. Space Marine units get sticky objective after a unit has destroyed an enemy unit in the fight phase. You get to nominate a unit that they're in range of. That is cool and thematic, but whereas most sticky objective stratagems in the game are just like You spend a CP, that unit's now sticky. This is specifically after they kill a unit in the fight phase, which makes it more niche, but at the same time, that's kind of what you want to be doing with the Space Wolf army. You want to kill stuff in the fight phase, so I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's not as automatic as other armies do it, but at the same time, it's kind of along your game plan anyways. I don't know. Seems useful in any case, maybe not as useful as it might be in some other armies. 1 CP, Overwhelming Onslaught. -1 to hit for an enemy unit in the fight phase if they're either in engagement or range of 2 Space Marine units or 1 unit of beasts. Let me reread that again. -1 to hit for an enemy unit in the fight phase if they're either in engagement range of 2 Space Marine units or 1 unit of beasts. That is interesting, and it only debuffs 1 squad. I think it's niche but useful, especially if they've got you aka don't hurt the good boys. Exactly. I think it could be useful, especially if you know that they've got a big FU squad, like you're getting into combat with a unit of Gazgul and a bunch of Mega Knobs. You can be like, that squad specifically, -1 to hit. Or a bunch of Berserkers or 8-bound. 1 CP, Chosen Prey. You get to fall back, shoot, and charge for a Space Wolf unit. Nice. Again, that's one of the things that we love about Stormlance. So this is an ability to do that here. Fall back, shoot, and charge. Exactly what you want to be able to do with a melee army. Especially, you guys know how it goes. You don't always want to fall back and charge because you're afraid of their unit. You just want to make sure you get to hit first again, right? Bounding Advance. Space Wolf's infantry or beast unit can move through enemy models this phase, aside from Titanic ones. So just like in the other saga, the other detachment, being able to move through screening units, super helpful. And then Marked for Destruction. 1 CP, 2 non-beast Space Marine units can both only shoot 1 visible unit, but when they do, they may re-roll wound rolls of 1. Not a huge buff, but re-rolls 1s to wound can stack up. It gets you some nice damage, especially if you're shooting it with, a unit that you don't think is going to do much damage. Maybe some, I don't know, for some reason you've taken Reavers, or maybe you have a squad of Blood Claws or Grey Hunters that are down to just a few models. You don't think a few pistol shots from your Blood Claws are going to take this thing out, but it helps you mark it for destruction, and then your actual shooting unit gets to clean up, by using this 1 CP Marked for Destruction. And with that, you'll notice all of the ones in this detachment are 1 CP stratagems. All of the ones in Saga of the Beast Slayer, 1 CP stratagem. So really, only Saga of the Bold has anything more expensive, like the 2 stratagems that they have that are 2 CP. Alright, so we've talked about all the sagas. So, lots of rules there. We're going to go into the stats now, and we're going to talk about the first Space Wolf data sheet, which is going to be the data sheet for the Grey Hunters. First thing to note here, both of their infantry squads are now 3 to 10. I mean, not 3 to 10. 10 to 20 strong, which is... I'm sorry, Grey Hunters are just squads of 10 only. So again, no more MSU. And I don't know about you guys, a lot of the times I would just take 5 Grey Hunters and leave them to babysit the home objective. Not always the safest thing to do, but definitely a very cheap way to play. You can't really do that anymore. If you're going to leave Grey Hunters on your side of the field, you got to commit to at least 10 of them. This almost would make you rather leave a squad of 5 intercessors on your side of the field because they're cheaper and they're going to be able to give that unit sticky objectives. I don't know. On the other hand, though, um, if you um, leave 10 of them on your home objective, that's a lot more bodies to help screen out your deployment zone. So, pluses and minuses, I guess. 5 hunters to get the 2 special weapons. One thing we're going to talk about as we look at all of these data sheets, one of the things that I love is that they buffed the mobility of Space Wolf units in general. So most of these things you're going to see are going to have a buffed movement stat. Grey Hunters are going to start off with movement 7, and then all your classic stats, toughness 4, save 3, 2 wounds, leadership 6, OC 3. Oh, that's another thing, they buffed their OC. Grey Hunters have a whopping OC 3. So if you do choose to leave Grey Hunters on an objective, they are doing so with a whopping 30 objectives on your home objective marker. That's pretty good, not going to lie. Let's see, they've got bolt guns, of course, 24 inches, just like before. Strength 4, AP 0, damage 1, rapid fire 1. Not a lot to write home about. It's the same bolters that they had before. But of course, they are still wielding it in one hand like Grey Hunters do. So that way they can have a chainsword in their other hand. Their new rule has been, basically they've been given the 5 Grey Hunters to get the 2 special weapons. With their weapons, so like I said, they can still wield a power weapon or a chainsword in their offhand, depending. I think just the sergeant gets the power weapon. But they're still getting 4 attacks with those weapons. They're up to 4 attacks now, so they're definitely representing that veteran fighting power. Gained OC 3, lost access to special weapons in the squad. That is a bloody shame. Yeah, I miss being able to take double plasma in the Grey Hunter squad. That is a frustrating loss. 3, I think, right? Because you could take 2 plasma and then get a plasma pistol on the sergeant. I miss being able to put out 3 plasma shots in my Grey Hunters. So they lost access to their special weapons. That's kind of frustrating. But we've seen that kind of as the Primaris way, right? Like all the bolter squads in Primaris are just bolters. They don't really have a mixed profile anymore unless it's the pistol. They gained OC3, +1 attacks for all models at base. Like I said, the chainsword and power weapons all strike at 3 hits. At 4 hits. Power fist strikes at 3 hits. Their new rule is called Cunning Hunters, and it's basically the Assault Intercessor rule. When making attack, re-roll a wound roll of 1. If the target is on an objective, re-roll the entire wound roll instead. That's pretty good. Definitely, so like, I don't know, these are usually the guys that want to babysit an objective. Making them attack an objective sounds pretty good too, because they're going to get all those re-rolls. However, I don't feel like the rule there fits the stats, because with bolters and just regular chainswords, that's a lot of attacks, yes, that's very nice. Being able to put power fist or power weapon on the sergeant, nice. But their bolters are going to be doing AP 0. They're not going to be doing much damage. So while it makes it tempting to clear off something on an objective, I think with their low damage output, they're going to be best sitting on your home objective. Leave them at home, baby. Leave them at home. Blood Claws. These are the younger, more hot-blooded Space Wolves. And I'm just going to pull this up real quick. This is your big blob, 10 to 20 strong. The leader lost the power fist in this. Blood Claws can no longer... Oh, that's another thing I got to fix. Anyways, so the leader can no longer take a power fist as a weapon. But the pack leader can take power weapons still, which is good. And the Wolf Claws unfortunately count as standard power weapons, but flavor-wise, gives you a reason to put wolf claws on your pack leaders again, which is kind of cool. Like flavor wise, it's kind of cool. The rule for them, they get advance of charge, and of course they've also got that nice movement 7 now. So movement 7 plus advance and charge, that is definitely, they're much more likely to get in combat than they used to be, which is great. I think it would be fun to take a big blob of them with Ragnar. I think that'd be pretty cool. I mean, Ragnar would be pretty cool. I meant Wolf Priest, though. Wolf Priest giving them all that +1 to wound. That'd be nice. Plus, again, with 4 attacks apiece, they'll be fishing for some lethal hits in combat. So you've got, at just the minimum size of 10, you've got 40 attacks coming in. So that's, especially if you Oath of Moment that target, that's bound to be quite a few lethal hits there. So automatic wounds. You're going to stack a bunch of saves on something. Let's see. Pack leader, power weapon. Pack leader, plasma, power weapon. We already talked about that. So again, they're going to be chaff clearing. They're very good for clearing out infantry, but with the ability to do lethal wounds, they can possibly hit above their. I'm saying stack lethal wounds. That's because I'm thinking of Beast Slayer. I want to go Beast Slayer all the way. So they can possibly be punching above their weight. I'm looking forward to good things from the Blood Claws. Now, I'm going to stop here. You guys know I'm excited for this. And yes, I don't have a functional Space Wolves army anymore. Lord be with the pygmies. But I'm ready to get to painting and restore my Space Wolves army. And I've got a lot of intercessor bodies, and I've got still one whole kit of Blood Claws / Grey Hunters to put together. But I'm going to be putting all the Space Wolfy bits onto those intercessor bodies. Like I said, I have a bunch of intercessors. I'll be putting them onto intercessor bodies, and I'm going to make me some Grey Hunters and Blood Claws. And over time, we'll rebuild. And I'm actually really glad that I have yet to paint my Bjorn or my Ragnar. We're going to do some painting Space Wolves in actual Space Wolf colors now. Okay? We're going to buckle down. We're going to get serious about Space Wolves. This, I thought, was going to be the year of the Custodes, and I've played a lot of Custodes this year. But this is turning into the year of the Wolf for the Wolf Brother. That's right, how it works. We're going to fix that. Beast Slayer seems to be the preferred way as of now. I totally agree, my friend. Alright, we're going to look at the Wolfguard Head Takers next. This is probably the unit I've been most excited to see. They also get that whopping 7-inch movement. Their wolves get the 10-inch movement. Both of them toughness 4. Your Head Takers get saves 3. The wolves get the paper save of 6+. 3 wounds on the Head Takers. Leadership 6. OC of 1. Of course, the Fenrisian wolves, their leadership 8. They don't have any leadership. And they have an OC of 0. But if they're within 6 inches of a Space Wolf's character, then they get an OC of 1, so they actually can do actions or claim objectives if they're within range of a character, which is pretty cool. Alright. Head Takers. At the start of the game, select an enemy unit. Head Taker models in this unit gets devastating wounds and precisions against that target. But you got to call the shot. At the beginning of the game, you say, this unit is going over this unit is going to kill that mother trucker right there. So, you got to call the shot. But they're getting devastating wounds and precision against them. And they're already, if you're going Beast Hunter, if it's a character or vehicle or whatever, they're going to get rerolls against, they're going to get lethal hits against it too. So, I mean, it could be pretty boss. They've got Mastercrafted power weapons. They're getting 4 attacks, weapon skill 3+, strength 5, -2 AP, and damage 2. So that is pretty awesome. Which those are basically the stats of the Blade Guard veterans, weapon-wise. But of course, um, you get to pick the flavor of having the axe or the sword, and then also you can pair your mastercrafted power weapons. Now, don't get me wrong, the shield is great because it's giving you that 4-up invulnerable save. But I think if I were to take 3, I'd want to do 2 with shields to tank hits and 1 with twin weapons. Because if you go twin weapons, you're getting a whopping 6 attacks at that strength 5 minus 2 damage, which is pretty cool. And if I were to go up to a squad of 6, which you can, then 6 of them, and that's only 180 points, baby. I think it's well worth it to do a full squad of these guys. I would want 3 and 3. 3 guys to tank hits and 3 guys to slap down 6 attacks apiece. Beautiful. Beautiful. They're very thematic for blinging out some wolves. Exactly. Oh yeah, and the wolves can separate at the declare battle formation step. They can separate into their own unit if you want to. So you can either keep them around for extra attacks, or you can have them split off and they can run and do their own thing. When they run, if they're their own unit, though, they get to get OC by being near an enemy unit. Have you seen Elstonation Iron Worm's armies working on? It's gorgeous. I have. I've been keeping an eye on them. You know I love watching Elstonation's work. It is beautiful. We might take a look at that towards the end of the stream. Of course, we're a little over time already, but I'm just really excited to talk about all this Space Wolf stuff, guys. Next, we'll be looking at the Wolfguard Terminators themselves, updated. All right. Like I mentioned earlier, they've taken away the missiles from them. They can take assault cannons and storm bolters. You can also give them storm shields instead of the storm bolter, which I think is a good idea. It gives them a wound characteristic of 4+, because these Terminators are already coming with a 4+ invulnerable save. They've been buffed to a 6-inch movement, which is nice. They're not Terminators that only move 5. They still have deep strike, and each time they do an attack, each time an attack targets this unit, if the strength is greater than the unit's toughness, and their toughness is 5, subtract 1 from the wound roll. So that means they can already wound you on 4s if they're up to toughness strength 5. Anything over strength 5 that's not double, they're going to still be wounding you on 4s. And then if they are double, they're still going to be wounding on 5s. I'm sorry. If they're above, oh my gosh. If they're above, they're going to be wounding you on 4s. But if they are RW, they're going to be wounding on 3s. You'll have they'll never be wounding you on 2+. Words, they're difficult. Like I said before, though, the only models that can join the Wolfguard Terminators currently is Aryak and Logan Grimnar, which is cool, thematic. Kind of wish I still had a generic unit, a generic leader I could take them with, such as generic Wolf Lord Terminator, generic Wolf Lord Terminator Wolf Priest. That would be nice. But just the 2 named characters is all you can take right now. Let's see. The leader can take a great axe, which I think is worth. It's a 2-handed weapon, so you got to give up both your storm bolter and storm shield. I think that's well worth it, though. The damage on the relic great axe is 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, 7 strength, -2 AP, straight 3 damage, and devastating wounds. Sounds pretty pimp to me. So I think it's well worth it to take that. You can take twin lightning claws on them. If you do, you get 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, -2, but only 1 damage, which is okay, I guess. It does get twin links, so you're re-rolling wounds there. I don't feel great about the 1 damage though, especially since all the other power weapons are getting strength 5 minus 2 damage. I think it's just better to go for the power fist or the power weapons each time. Let's see. War gear choice: Storm Bolter versus Storm Shield. One can take an assault cannon per 5. That model gets the power fist. Okay. So yeah, your heavy weapons guy is going to be assault cannon and power fist, because I think it's always worth it to take a power fist, and then everybody else is going to have power weapons. Words are hard, indeed, indeed. So you get 1 great axe, which is a bunch of strength 3 damage. You get a power fist, which could be a couple of hits of strength 2 damage. So yeah, I think you can definitely still stack on some damage, but they're definitely not going to put out as much damage as the assault Terminators. Thunderwolf Cavalry, my favorite unit of the entire army. They're still around. They're hanging on by a thread. Like I said, they have no more character support anymore. But their base stat sheet has gotten much better, which I absolutely love. They've buffed their movement to 12 inches, so they're moving faster than they used to. Their base melee attacks gain minus 2 damage and damage. So before they gave them what they called heirloom weapons, which made me think of them because they were just basically glorified chain swords, strength 5, minus 1 damage. So they called them heirloom weapons, but I think that was a nice way of saying, rusty old antique weapons. I really hated their old profile. But they've buffed them. Their weapons actually are decent again. They're no longer just glorified chain swords. They're more like power weapons now. So here we have the Wolfguard. They're called Wolfguard weapons, but they're basically mastercrafted power weapons. You're going to get 4 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 5, minus 2 damage. And I think that minus 2 and 2 damage is awesome. And then, on top of that, you still have more or less the same rule that they used to have. It's been, the rule itself, okay, so the data sheet has been buffed. The rule itself has had a minor nerf. Ferocious Charge: each time this unit makes a charge move, until the end of the turn, add 1 to the damage of the Wolfguard weapon. So, you're going to be damage 3 on the charge, which is amazing. But where it also used to count for your teeth and claws attacks, those teeth and claws attacks are still going to be damage 1, which is fine. You know, it is oddly, it's kind of odd that they left out the teeth and claw attacks, but that's fine. With the buffs to the Wolfguard, it's fine. I would normally have called BS on it, but it's like I said, it's not great, but it's fine. So yeah, love the new stats on the Thunderwolves. It would be great. Like I said, it is a great buff. It's not character good. It's not. I still wish I could attach a Lieutenant or Wolf Lord to them good. Because a Wolf Lord hitting with the hammer, let's say you're still taking Stormlance, okay? A Wolf Lord in Stormlance that could get up to a damage 4 hammer if you took the enhancement, hitting 6 times. Yeah, that was like, when I took that to the event I played Space Wolves at last year. That carried me. That captain did, or that Wolf Lord did a ton of damage. And now these Thunderwolves have to be more self-sufficient and do their own damage, I guess, which is fine. No, it's not fine. I miss my characters. But we're on the positive. The buff data sheet is great. Fenrisian Wolves, I mean, they are fluffy. They're not great data sheets, but they're a neat bit of flavor, okay? Movement 10, toughness 4, save 6 plus 1 wound, leadership 8, OC 0. But like I said before, they can get 1 OC if they're within 6 inches of a character, a non-wolfing character. And then if you take them by themselves, not the head takers, they get a rule called Predatory Instinct. Once per turn, when an enemy unit ends a normal, advance, or fallback move within 9 inches, they get a reactive move up to D6 inches, which is nice. So, if somebody's trying to melee those good boys, you can just move them out of harm's way, which is nice. The Wolfen. Now that we're talking about Wolfen, I'm going to preface this by going back and talking about a rule called Curse of the Wolfen. So, this applies to Wolfen, Wolfen Dreadnoughts, and Murderfang. Just like the Fenrisian Wolves themselves, they're normally OC 0. However, with this new rule called Curse of the Wolfen, all of these units now get 1 OC if they're an infantry model within 6 inches of a non-Wolfen character, or 12 inches of a Wolf Priest. Wolf Priest, nice big buff. Then, if it's a vehicle model, such as Wolfen Dreadnoughts or Murderfang, they get 3 OC, which is pretty nice. Of course, if they're battle shocked, it doesn't count. They still fall to OC 0 if they're battle shocked. But still, the fact that they have a way to get some OC now is a huge buff to Wolfen and Wolfen Dreadnoughts. Because that was a reason not to take them, is because they couldn't hold any objectives, you know. But yeah, this definitely has me taking another look at them. All right, now we're going to look at their data sheets. Now that we've talked about their buff. Wolfen have been buffed. They have a 9-inch movement now, which is fantastic. Toughness 6, save 4+, wounds 2 wounds, leadership 7. Their Stormfrag auto launcher, which it's never really been great, but that has the assault and blast keyword. I think this is pretty much the same. Range 12, D3 attacks, hitting on 4s, and no AP 1 damage. However, instead of the auto launchers, you could take a death totem, and this says each time the bearer makes a melee attack, re-roll hit rolls of 1, which is kind of nice. I mean, if you're putting them into the oath target, it doesn't matter, but I mean, that kind of makes them not need it as much, you know. Now, this is where it's awesome. This is the version that don't have the hammers. These are the ones with claws and axes. Okay. Their ability is Savage Frenzy. Enemy units, aside from monsters and vehicles, must take a desperate escape attempt when falling back from engagement range of this unit. If that unit is battle shocked, subtract 1 from the test. That's pretty cool that they could possibly lose models backing up from the Wolfen. I think that's pretty neat. And the Wolfen Frost Axe and Claws get 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 2, -2 AP, 2 damage. So a lot of these rules have been pretty much made the same as the Mastercrafted weapons from Blade Guard Veterans, which I like. Strength 5, AP 2, 2 damage, I'm liking that. All that's okay. Now, they did lose their Fight on Death ability. That hurts. I feel like they've lost all of their original rules since they came out. Because they came out with Bounding Lope, which gave you advance and charge, and the ability to move through enemy units. And they had Death Frenzy, which lets you fight on death. And now they've lost all of their rules that they originally had. And they've been given to other units, which is kind of weird. Now, like I said, Wolfen have been split into 2, so that is just the Wolfen data sheet. They also have the Wolfen with Storm Shields and Hammers rule sheet. So for that, they've got still the movement 9, toughness 6, save 4, 2 wounds, leadership 7. They've got their rule is called Hammer Blow. If this unit has fought, after this unit has fought in the fight phase, select one monster or vehicle unit hit by one of their attacks. Until their next turn, that unit is suppressed and has -1 to hit. So, yeah, things that are in combat that's been smacked around these hammers, they don't hit so good afterwards. I like that. That's somebody's head, you know, their clock genuinely got cleaned by somebody's hammer hit. I like that. Of course, the Storm Shield gives them a 4-up invulnerable save, and they also have the option of swapping out that frag launcher with the Death Totem, which means they get to re-roll hit rolls of 1 in melee, which is cool. Now, these hammers, they only attack twice, but they're hitting on 3s, strength 5, -2, and flat 3 damage. And you may wonder to yourself, why is a hammer only strength 5? Because these hammers come with anti-monster and anti-vehicle 3+. So it don't matter if you're hitting a strength, a toughness 7 or 8 Torox, or if you're hitting a toughness 13 Baneblade. Running Bear, what up, baby? I hope you're doing okay tonight. Hope those doctors are taking care of you. It doesn't matter if you're hitting a T8 Torox or if you're hitting a T13. Hey, Stitching Out Loud, good to see you as always. Welcome to the chat. It's always a pleasure to see you. But no matter what the toughness is, you're always going to be wounding vehicles and monsters on 3+, which is amazing. Now, granted, like I said, it is only 2 hits, so take a big squad of them. Like I said, you get 5 to 10 models. If you get 5 all with hammers, that's still only 2 hits, but you're getting 10 swings out of that. That's all wounding vehicles on 3+. That's pretty nice. If you take a school 10-man squad, getting 20 swings out of that, you're taking something down. Hey, 3 nurses taking care of you. All right. Well, I hope they're doing a good job taking care of you, brother. We got the Space Wolves Venerable Dreadnought, an iconic unit. We are the only army that said, somebody give that casket an axe. But you still get your choice of axes, or, you can do just the Dreadnought close combat weapon. But definitely, I say give them the axe. You can take the Hellfrost weapon, the Multi-Melta, the Heavy Flamer, the Assault Cannon. But I say these are better off going melee, in my opinion. Especially since, just like Bjorn, they lost the ability to have las cannons. The Hellfrost did get buffed. Okay, if you have the Focus Fire, it is up to Strength 10. As we all know now, the average vehicle woundness is 10 or better now. 10 toughness is... vehicle toughness is 10 or better. So, I don't know. Do you have the Primal Hounds bits from Grey Tide Studios? I don't. I'm going to need to buy into them, though. I wish I had paid their Kickstarter price, but, I wasn't as into printing at the time, and so I didn't get in on the Kickstarter. Now I'm kind of kicking myself because now I have a printer. So, anyways... So, I'm going to have to pay full price for those files because I didn't... Oh, hey! Thank you, brother. Yeah, give that casket an attitude. Ah, the man inside that casket is born on Fenris. He was born with an attitude. The Blizzard Shield, still at 4-up invul save. The Axe is still great. You can go to Sweep with 12 attacks, hitting on 3s. Strength 6, -2, but only 1 damage, weirdly. Massive Axe, 1 damage, but still good for clearing hordes at 12 attacks. The Strike is Strength 6, 3 hitting on 3s. I'm sorry, 6 attacks, hitting on 3s. Only Strength 10, though, which again, most vehicles are 10 or better these days. I feel like it's a real big misstep that a Venerable Dreadnought no longer has the ability to take out vehicles. It's a big-ass Dreadnought with a big-ass weapon. It does feel weird. However, just another reason to run Beast Slayer, baby. Just another reason. Might be a little off topic and dirty if you already talked about it. But are you looking forward to Henry Cavill doing the Warhammer movie? Also, this topic can wait until the end. Oh, I can tell you right off the bat, I am so excited for what Henry Cavill is doing with whatever he's doing with Amazon Prime and the show or movie he's working on. And they've been very tight-lipped about it, but Henry Cavill is so big into Warhammer that uh, so big into Warhammer that he brings it up in interviews all the time and stuff like that, and he's always just super excited about it. And then something that we learned from watching him on The Witcher is that he takes his fandoms very seriously, and he goes to bat fighting writers and producers if he feels like they are straying too far from the source material, which is amazing. And so, as being that he's looking at Warhammer as our fandom, to do something with it, I know he's going to treat it right, which makes me super, super, super excited. Um, there's a picture, there's a meme that somebody did that I always like to show people. Um, just because I love it and I feel like it's so appropriate. We're going to switch to articles and art for a second, guys. Uh, okay, I broke it. It's okay, guys. I just broke the stream again. My bad. Somebody took a picture of Henry Cavill, though, and dressed him up as the Emperor of Mankind in the Warhammer 40k universe. And I just freaking love that. So, because of this picture here of Henry Cavill as the Emperor of Mankind, I like to call him our Lord and Savior, Henry Cavill. The Cavill of Mankind. Yes, Kale. I have pictures of him in his Warhammer suit pinned up at work. Awesome. I love that, my friend. So yeah, our Lord and Savior, Henry Cavill, the Cavill of Mankind. Now that screen is going to be messed up for the next time I do articles on art. I'm going to be like, how did I do this? All right. Boop. Venerable Dreadnought. The rule for Venerable Dreadnoughts. Like I said, I feel like it's a huge mistake. Even though they have the D6 plus 1 damage on the axe, the fact that this big old Dreadnought doesn't have the ability to go to toe with other vehicles, I think is a huge mistake. Burning Bear says, thanks to Saga of the Beast Layer detachment and the Wolf Touch enhancement, Wolf and Cav a leader character attached. Yes. Didn't mean to derail the convo. Hey, I live with ADD. I derail the conversation all the time. That's just what I do. That's par for the course here on the show. Don't worry about that, my friend. So, yeah, huge mistake that it can't go toe-to-toe with vehicles, but it does have a cool rule, +1 to advance and charge for Space Wolves within 6 inches, including itself, because it is a Space Wolves unit. This trade has no rails. Although, I have to say, because I said at the beginning, okay, we got a short amount of time to cover an entire codex. I think I've actually been fairly on track for once tonight. I've been okay. I've been less off the rails than usual. But Venerable Dreadnought still very good. I just wish they were more effective at taking out vehicles. But again, Beast Slayer's everything. Oh, and Running Bear, yes. I definitely love the idea of putting character with the Wolfen. So true. I remember the old days. Exactly. Exactly. All of our conversations were off the rails back then. Its counterpart, the Wolfen Dreadnought, it's fast. It's a slightly faster cousin. We've got movement 9. Ooh. We got movement 9. We got toughness 9. Um, saving on 2+, 8 wounds. Um, again, we have the a choice between the Great Wolf Claw. We've already talked about the stats for the axe. You can pick the axe or you can take the Wolf Claw. If you take the Claw, it is also Strength 10. It's 6 attacks hitting on 3, so just like the strike attack from the axe. It is -3 though, and flat 3 damage. So it's got 1 better AP than the strike attack of the axe. And instead of D6 plus 1, that can be a bit swingy, it's got a flat 3 damage. So you can pick which way you'd rather go. Consistent damage or the ability to spike big damage. I just got told I'm being moved from critical care to a regular. That is great news, my friend. I'm glad you are out of a critical situation, brother. All right, Bestial Rage is the Wolf and Dreadnoughts. Also with that, while we're thinking about the fact that Running Bear is being moved to a regular room, if I could just have a moment, everybody send, positive vibes, prayers, well wishes, and just plain old good thoughts, and maybe even a compliment Running Bear's way. Let him know that we're all hoping that he gets better, gets out of the hospital, and continues to mend and get better, man. Big loves to you, brother. Bestial Rage. Once per shooting phase, after this unit has been shot and lost wounds to that attack, you can make a Bestial Rage move of D6 plus 2, finishing as close as possible to the nearest non-aircraft enemy unit. Can be used to move within engagement range. Reactive moves are so good, and being able to get your dreadnoughts closer to the enemy and get them set up for combat is going to be great. And then, like I said, if you get to make that reactive move into engagement range, then they can't shoot at it no more. If this weapon is equipped with 2 melee weapons, the weapon profiles gain the twin linked keyword, which is pretty awesome. Full rerolls to wounds would definitely make up for the fact that it only has strength 10, makes it a lot better at killing vehicles. However, you're going to lose your invul save, and in my experience, most dreadnoughts without invul saves tend to blow pretty quickly. Got to have Murderfang too. I love Murderfang, and I'm so happy with how my conversion came out for my dreadnought, my Murderfang. We got the big boy, Bjorn himself. He can only take the assault cannon or the Hellfrost. Oh, and the multi-melta. Now I forgot the multi-melta. I'm going to give him the Hellfrost, but man, I do miss the last cannon option. He's got Deadly Demise 1, Feel No Pain 5+. He has Legendary Tenacity, -1 to wound when being attacked by something with greater strength than toughness. His movement is 9, his toughness is 9, so if they are strength 9, they'll be wounding on 4s. If they're strength 10 through 17, they'll be wounding on 3s. They'll never roll better than a 3, though. Let's see. And then, of course, he has 8 wounds, save 2+, leadership 6, OC 3. Like I said before, the Hellfrost has been buffed to strength 10 for the focused blast, which is okay. It does have a nice flat damage 5. I don't know if I talked about that before. -3 damage, flat damage 5. It's pretty nice. It's just that one shot at strength 10. It's just like, I guess it's okay. That's just it. One shot at strength 10. It's going to chip in with some damage. you can't really rely on Bjorn to do any damage unless you get him in combat. But he's so good at buffing your army that you don't necessarily want to just throw him headlong into damage. You kind of want to keep him out of, line of sight from your opponent's anti-tank weapons. He comes with a 5+ invul save, and as long as he's on the battlefield, you get 1 extra CP in your command phase every single turn. So, he is a great buffing character for that. Everybody can use some extra CPs. His True Claw still hits hard. It's 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 12, -2 damage, flat 3 damage, lethal hits. It's so good. Just be careful, because a lot of people throw him straight first into battle, and then they lose their buffing unit way early in the game. So, just be careful. I am still going to miss his last can, I gotta say. Alright. Murderfang. The crazy, wolfed out brother of Bjorn. I say brother, I mean, they're just both dreadnoughts. But, same thing before. Movement 9, toughness 9, save 2, wounds 8, leadership 6, OC 0 because he's a wolfen. Put him near a character though, and he's suddenly got OC 3. He's got 8 attacks with his murder claws. They are 8 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 14, massive anti-tank power. -2 AP, flat damage 3, twin link, so you're re-rolling to wound on this already great strength 14, and sustained hits 1. So you may start out with 8 attacks, but you might be popping up more, especially if you're fishing with the Oath of Moment. So, he's got the Force of Untamed Destruction. He can't be your warlord. Bestial Fury. He can re-roll all advance and charge rolls. And he's got the Murder Maker aura. Wolfen units within 6 inches can fight on death on a 4+, which, he's got the Wolfen keyword himself. And if they are slain by an attack in the fight phase, and if they've not already fought this phase. Now, the only thing is that, at least for me, when I'm playing, I don't usually put all of my melee eggs in one basket. I probably wouldn't have Murderfang and my, kind of wish you could make him your warlord. That would be interesting. I don't know if I'd necessarily put Murderfang and my Wolfen on the same side of the board, but the fact that he can give himself that buff is cool. Run a Wolfen only list with Wolfen Dreads. Okay, that could be kind of cool. I think in a situation like that, or I saw somebody playing an all Dreadnought list at one of the tournaments I went to. Somebody was running 3 Venerable Dreads, 3 Wolfen Dreads, Bjorn and Murderfang, and then they had like a couple Redemptors and an Iron Priest. I'm sorry, 1 Redemptor and 1 of the new Furioso guys. Brutalis, that's their name. But yeah, so a list like that where you just have like Wolfen everywhere, yeah, that would be cool to do that. Six units of wolves now, for what that's worth. Yeah, you could have 3 with the head takers and then 3 wolves by themselves. And then they'll all die to stiff breezes. They'll be flashlighted to death. So I think Murderfang's still looking beautiful as ever. The only thing I've always wished is because Murderfang dies so easily, I do wish that Murderfang had an invul save of some sort. But he might be too good then, maybe. I don't know. I still want to get a Storm Raven so I could put him in a Storm Raven. But the way they've been doing flyers now, if I get a Storm Raven, they'll probably immediately remove it from the codex. Alright, we're going to look at the characters now. And it looks like we're starting off with Logan Grimnar. We've got movement 6, toughness 5, 2+ save, 8 wounds on the Great Wolf, OC 1 and leadership 6. We've got the Axe of Mordecai, still has the one-handed and two-handed poses. You get 10 attacks one-handed, hitting on 2, strength 6, 2 AP, and 1 damage. But nobody wants a 1 damage Logan Grimnar, right? So we all want the two-handed 6 attacks, hitting onto strength 8, -2, 3 damage. That's a beautiful, beautiful attack. And then, of course, his 2 wolves comes on his base now. You've got Tiernak and Fenrir, 6 attacks, hitting onto strength 5, -1, 1 damage. I feel like Logan's wolves should do more than regular Fenrisian wolves as far as, attacks go. But I guess I'll let him slide. He's got an invulnerable save at 4+, like anybody else in Terminator armor. He's got deep strike. He's got the leader keyword. The only thing he can lead is the Wolfguard Terminators. He's got the Guile of the Wolf. If an opponent targets one unit within 12 inches of this model, then that cost is increased by 1 CP. That seems very niche. I mean, just seems like they'd put their stratagem somewhere else, right? And it specifically has to target that unit, so if they wanted to do something like, I think there's a stratagem you could put on Exalted 8-bound to make them better in combat, right? Well, that's targeting themselves, it's not targeting Logan, so it wouldn't increase their cost. They specifically got to target his unit. So that one is not so, I mean, it is what it is. It's there. He's got a different rule, so I guess that's a freebie one, right? But the High King of Fenris, once per battle in the movement phase, one Space Wolves unit in your army can arrive from strategic reserves one battle round earlier. So if you are deep striking, you can come in first turn. If you are coming in from reserves, starting second turn, you can come in from the enemy deployment zone. Because you're treating everything as if it's one round later in the battle for one unit. That does have some decent applications for alpha striking. I don't love it. Especially since his rule used to be once per turn, the entire army can advance and charge. That was great. Now he's just like, I'm going to buff one unit for one movement, and that's it. Really? That's it? That's all you're going to do? He looks cool. His model is epic. His attacks are pretty good. Strength 8, -2, damage 3. He's got a beefy profile. If you can only attach one of these characters to your Wolfguard, I think the next guy is going to be more my speed. Which hurts me to say, because like I've shown you, mine is magnetized. I love my Logan model. That's what this whole episode is, guys. It's just me bitching about me liking the way things were before. Like, I love this model. And the fact that it's just like, yeah, you're better off leaving him at home and taking his bestie instead. That kind of hurts me a little to say. But we're going to look at his bestie, Aryak Rockfist. You got the faux hammer that can be thrown just like Thor and Mjolnir. And there's even a pose on the new miniature where you can pose him throwing, which is pretty cool. But whether you're throwing or swinging it in melee, the faux hammer is going to have anti-monster 3+, anti-vehicle 3+, and assault keywords in range and precision in melee. That is pretty awesome. Oh yeah, can't even combo Aryak and Logan anymore. Yeah. You know why? Because the frickin' keywords. So before, Aryak had the lieutenant keyword, and lieutenants, as you know, can be taken in the same unit as a captain, and have a great night, Running Bear. I hope things go well and moved into your new room. So before, lieutenants can be taken in the same unit as a captain, and since Aryak no longer has the lieutenant keyword, you can't combo them anymore. No wombo combo, baby. Frustrate. George is frustrated. He's movement 6, toughness 5, save 2, wound 6, leadership 6, OC 1. Of course, he's a Terminator. He's got that 4-up invul. If you throw his hammer, he's going to be one shot, hitting onto strength 8, minus 2 AP, flat 3 damage. If you use the faux hammer in melee, it's going to be 5 attacks with that same profile, hitting onto strength 8, minus 2 damage, minus 2 AP, flat 3 damage. Very nice profile. Special rule: while leading unit models in this unit slain by a melee attack may fight on death on a roll of 4+. That is going to be cool. That your Terminators are going to get extra punch on the way out if they haven't already fought this phase. Then Champion of the Kingsguard: if it makes a melee attack against a character unit, you can re-roll the hit and wound roll, which is always a good ability. But yeah, no ability to take him alongside Logan Grimnar anymore. That feels bad. That feels hella bad. Because before, like, if you were going to take, like before, yeah, you probably still would take Aryak over Logan, but because you could put them together, could still be worth it to take both. Now there's no reason to take both. It's like, I can only buff one of them. I'm probably going to give it to Aryak. Again, unless you're just playing a fluffy game and you don't care about how good your character is. But straight up, Aryak's better right now. I hate to say it. Ragnar Blackmane, though, is a character who's always good. He's movement 7, toughness 4, save 3, wounds 5, leadership 6, OC 1. He's still got a bolt pistol. That's nothing different. Strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage. But he's still got Frostfang. However, it's 8 attacks now. With sustained hits 1. And before, I think you could get up to like 10 or 12 hits with him. It's 8 with sustained hits 1 now. Is that not as good? Maybe not, but it's still pretty good. I mean, 8 attacks is still pretty awesome, actually. You're going to still hit on 2, strength 6, minus 3 AP, damage flat 2. It's great. Ragnar's always great. It's a good time for me to paint this man up. Warhowl: while leading Bloodclaws specifically, models in that unit can re-roll wound rolls. While leading Wolfguard Headtakers, that unit can advance and charge. It's interesting that his rule is different depending on who he's leading. However, because it's that advance and charge, and Bloodclaws already get advance and charge, I can see why. Full rerolls for Bloodclaws. Maybe I'll stick him with the Bloodclaws instead of the Priest. I don't know. That sounds really damn good. He's also got Battle Lust. Each time this model ends a charge move, until the end of turn, add 2 attacks characteristic to this model's Frostfang. Okay, I see. So he can still get up to 10 there, and then add the sustained hits. So he could possibly still get up to 2 or maybe even more. I see you, Ragnar. I like it. Like I said, Ragnar's been good since he came out. He's still really good. I'm looking forward to painting mine and putting him on the table. Ulrich the Slayer. We've got the final surviving member of the Firstborn Space Wolf characters. He is, if you will, if this were a horror movie, he would be our final girl. Ulrich the Slayer, movement 7, toughness 4, save 3, wounds 4, leadership 5, OC 1. He's got really good leadership. He's got a plasma pistol. You can feel free to supercharge it. I wouldn't do it if I were you. He's got the Artificer Crozius, anti-monster 4+, anti-vehicle 4+. Freaking love that. He's got a great profile. Ulrich is such a good model. I kind of want to Primaricize that. You guys know I've bought 3 Ulrich the Slayers, and I've used them all for conversions. And I've never actually built an Ulrich the Slayer. I think I need to buy a 4th one. Although, to be fair, one of them is because the Wolf Lord I made, I dropped and broke one, so I needed to replace parts that broke off of him. So, yeah, I need to actually put together an Ulrich the Slayer. I might do that on a, steal the bits from him again, like the arms and the cape and the backpack, and put them on some kind of Primaris body, though. Like one of the Primaris chaplains. So once again, I'll be raiding Ulrich for bits. I'll buy a fourth one just to use him for bits again. Hellchild, you're rubbing off on me, man. You're rubbing off on me. But his Crozius, like I said, is wonderful. Anti-monster 4+, anti-vehicle 4+. Get 5 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 6, -2, 2 damage. Slayer's Oath. Pick either characters, monsters, or vehicles at the start of battle. The first time this unit slays one of those chosen keywords, this unit counts as gaining full benefits of a completed saga if your detachment rule has one until the end of the game. So that's amazing. That's amazing. So you could very early in the game have him with full benefits of a completed saga. That's nice. Plus, while he's leading a unit, +1 to hit for melee attacks and +1 to wound against the chosen Slayer's Oath keyword. Very, very nice. I think this is the final character. We're going to look at Njal Stormcaller. He's decided to take off that heavy-ass Terminator armor. He's back in power armor. We've got a bolt pistol, nothing to write home about. He's got Living Lightning, which has all been changed to damage 1. Am I crazy, or did that used to be stronger? It is like it's like so it's like I've been reduced to an all like basic infantry killer now. All anti-infantry weapon. And I don't even mean heavy infantry. I mean like basic ass infantry. We're talking guardsmen. We're talking Eldar. We're talking orcs. Yeah, strength 7 could be used against orcs. That's it. Goblins. I'm not sure I like this direction. Am I just crazy? Anybody else know what Njal did before? I feel like he used to be stronger. His psych powers are pop rocks now. I feel like that used to be stronger. I'm going to have to go back and fact check. But anyways. Basic stats. I'm not even going to go over them again. But Living Lightning, if you decide to go for the widespread one. Oh, I have one character after this. Widespread is a Psychic Sustain 2 attack with D6 shots. Hitting on 3, strength 7, -1 AP, 1 damage. You could also go for the hazardous version, which you got to make hazardous roll, but you're going to get still sustained hits too. But you're going to get 2d6 this time. Hitting on 3, strength 7, -1, 1 damage. So you get double the shots for a hazardous check. But still, you're doing a bunch of damage 1. Like I said, you could maybe help take out a big horde of guardsmen or nids or orcs. That's about it. Hey, Oversoul, my man. I hope you're doing well, brother. Yeah, long time no chat indeed. I hope you are living your best life, brother. His melee weapon, we got the Staff of the Stormcaller. It's a psychic weapon with sustain hits 2, 4 attacks, weapon skill 3, hitting on 3. So we got strength 7, -1, D3 damage, which is so much better. Weirdly, for all his Living Lightning, he's better in combat than he is in casting spells. Also, what happened to... Didn't his bird used to have an attack? Am I just crazy? Think that Njal used to be good? Didn't his bird used to have like an attack? Let's talk about his rules. Of course, he has a 4-up invul save, which is good. So got the Windwalker ability. While leading a unit, ranged weapons gain the assault keyword, and unit automatically advances 6 inches. I mean, that's cool. Tempest Wrath. After shooting in your shooting phase, one enemy unit, except for monsters and vehicles, hit by Living Lightning is storm-racked until the start of your next turn. Subtract 6 inches from the range of their ranged weapons to a minimum of 12 inches. That is such a random ass ability. I guess if you were to use his Windwalker and get real close to like something big and shooty in their army, like Havocs or maybe a big ass vehicle that can shoot. You got him, or maybe a Riptide. Oh no, I'm sorry, non-monsters or vehicles. I guess if you had a big shooting a big shooting unit that was long ranged, and this is really getting niche here. That was long ranged, and you gave them -1 to hit, or you took away some of their range, like Havocs, like Guardsman, heavy weapons team. I'm struggling, guys. I'm struggling. Yeah, I think this is kind of a nothing ability. What can he lead? I don't even know. If you can take him with Blood Claws, that might be a use. Is auto advance 6 inches, and then they could advance and charge. That could possibly be something. So yeah, maybe he could speed some Blood Claws into combat. Anyway, so Niall's not very good right now. Let's move on to this Wolf Priest. If I'm missing something, and y'all can let me know in chat, guys, you're missing it. Niall is great for this. You give me that scenario where Niall is really good, and I'm happy to retract my statement. I can't see the use for him right now. Except for, like I said, speeding somebody to an objective. I don't see it. It'll become apparent in the future. I hope so, man. I hope so. The Wolf Priest looks so pimp. I love that hooded wolf skull helmet of his. I love the fact that you can have him carrying a random ass ice knife. I love that frost weapons are kind of making a flavorful comeback, even if the frost weapons don't have any rules. I do miss frost weapons having their own rules, but at least they're coming back aesthetically, which is something. They did upgrade his pistol to an Absolver bolt pistol, so that extends its range out to 18 inches, hitting on 3, strength 5, -1 AP, and damage 2. It's a really nice ass bolt pistol. He's got his Crozius Arcanum. That's 5 attacks. It hits on 2s. It's strength 6, -1 AP, and flat 2 damage. He's got Litany of Hate while he's leading a unit. Each time a model makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. That is always just a fantastic ability in the Space Wolves Codex. And, like I said, he now has Apothecary rules, which is one of the most exciting things in Space Wolves news. He's got Healing Bombs. In your command phase, you can revive 1 slain bodyguard mortal that is not character if leading a unit. That is fan-freaking-tastic. Definitely good with something... Definitely something good with something like... that's going to be tanky, like those head takers. Fenris Workshop Army and Army set and mission deck sold out in seconds. And that's how these Warhammer releases go, man. And I bet you Scalper's got more than half of them. So this guy's got some fantastic stats. He's going to be adding to your damage. He's going to be bringing back people. I think putting him in a tank unit like the head takers is great. But also, if you give him something like to, say, the Blood Claws, increase their damage, and a big-ass unit like 10 or 20, you're going to be guaranteed to use that revive over and over and over again. Because the thing about using the head takers is that while they're tanky, if you roll low a couple times, you might not have a unit to bring back anymore. But with a big unit, you're almost guaranteed that you'll be able to pull back units almost every turn. So, something to think about. I want to take them in a big squad of 6 head takers. That's what I want to do. Man, sponsor, look how far you've come. I'm so happy for you, man. Thank you so much, my brother. We've got, oh man, I keep finding more data sheets. We've got the Wolfguard Battle Leader. I want to put the hammer on this guy for sure. But this pose with the hair and the sword and the shield, I kind of want to build a second one with the power weapon, just so that way I can find a bit seller that will sell me a sword that looks like the Sword of Grayskull, because this guy gives me real He-Man vibes with the hair and the sword and the shield pose. I just want to give him the Sword of Grayskull. But, I mean, the hammer is definitely the way to go with this guy. You can take a plasma pistol on him, and you absolutely should. You could also take a heavy bolt pistol or a mastercrafted bolt carbine for some reason. He's got a 4+ invul save, whether or not you model him with that shield. But if you do model him with the shield, you do get a wounds characteristic of 6 instead of 5. So, like, damage-wise, I would want to put a pistol on him, but I'm going to model him with the shield because that stance with the shield looks pimp. And that's a cool-looking shield. And Rule of Cool always wins out with me. Like, would I like to have the plasma damage? Sure. But look at that. Oh, I'm saying look at. You're not seeing the... Let's go to Articles and Art for just 1 second. By the way, I'd like to refer you guys to my comments section, or my link down in the description below. I do have Auspex Tactics video link there, so check out his full video. But yeah, look at the pose on that battle leader. That shield looks so pimp. Now I'm going to stop sharing that because I really don't want to get in trouble for showing off his stuff. But since I do have it up, I am going to reiterate, I did get all of my information from Auspex Tactics. Please make sure at some point you click the link to his video and check out the original video of the full Codex review. Alright, so what does the battle leader do? Same stat line, movement 7, toughness 4, save 3, wounds 5, leadership 6, OC 1. Mastercraft power weapon is like a blade guard weapon, except you're getting 7 whopping attacks, hitting on 2, strength 5, -2, 2 damage. Or you could take the Thunder Hammer, 5 attacks still, 5 attacks with the hammer is nice, hitting on 3s, strength 8, -2, 2 damage. We've got Tempered Ferocity. While this model is leading a unit, weapons have sustained hits 1. Now, you might be wondering, don't lieutenants usually give a lethal hits ability? But remember, they have a whole detachment that gives you lethal hits army-wide. So this guy gives you instead a sustained hits 1. And if you're attacking an enemy unit within 6 inches, reroll a hit roll of 1. Now, if you're in melee, you're automatically going to be within 6 inches. So in melee, you're always rerolling hit rolls of 1. So that's pretty awesome. And then you've also got Heroic Last Stand. This model may fight on death on a 2+ if slain by a melee attack and has not fought this phase. So that's a cool little like extra attack from him if he gets killed first. But for what he does for the whole unit is sustained hits 1 and reroll hit rolls of 1 within 6 inches. That's pretty awesome. Can lead Blood Claw. Oh, hey, he's got notes over here on the side. Have I been missing this for everyone? Can lead Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, or Head Takers. Okay, so that's pretty interesting. Wolf Priest can lead Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, or Head Takers. Njal can lead Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, Head Takers. We know what Aryak and Logan can lead. Ulrich, Blood Claws, Grey Hunters, Head Takers. I'm seeing a pattern here. Ragnar, Blood Claws, Wolfguard. Blood Claws or Head Takers. Interesting. Ragnar cannot lead Grey Hunters. That is interesting. Look at us learning stuff. Iron Priest, same stat line. 4 wounds. He gets a Hellfrost pistol, and only a Hellfrost pistol. There's no choice this time, like before you could pick a plasma pistol. He has a Torrent version you can shoot with that, which is D6 shot, strength 4, -1 AP, 1 damage. Or the Focus shot, 12 inches. Both of them are 12 inches. If you use Focus, though, it's only 1 shot, hitting on 2s. Strength 6, -3 AP, and a flat 3 damage. That's a good-ass pistol. That is a good-ass pistol. He's got his the Tempest Hammer and the Servo Arm, interestingly, have been combined into one profile. It says Tempest Hammer and Servo Arm. You get 4 attacks total, hitting on 4s, so that's kind of not a great melee stat for a Space Wolf. Strength 8, -2, flat 3 damage. So, hey, I mean, hopefully you hit with them, hitting on 4s, but can do some pretty good damage. Got to get some sleep. Thanks for keeping me entertained until I can see the pre-orders disappear. My pleasure, man. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful night. His abilities, of course, while this model is within 3 inches of one or more friendly and Stardust vehicles, it has the Lone Op ability. In your command phase, select one Stardust vehicle within 3 inches. It regains up to D3 lost wounds, and until the start of your next command phase, each time it makes a ranged attack. This is a badass buff. It gives that vehicle Rapid Fire 1. So the example Auspex talked about is, imagine giving this to a Predator with 3 ass las cannons. Okay, it has a 48 wrench range. That means within 24 inches, instead of triple tapping with las cannons, you are now 6 shots with the las cannon. Virtually a whole nother Predator tank worth of shots. That is amazing. Paint up your Wolf Priest or your Iron Priest boys. It's looking good. Oh my gosh, that is so good. Judgment of the Omnisci. Each time this model makes an attack that targets an enemy within engagement range of an Astartes vehicle, you can re-roll the wound roll. So if something's fighting a Astartes vehicle next to it, you can jump in that fight and re-roll wound rolls, which is pretty good. And that's going to really, help increase his damage output. The only thing is that hitting on 4s is not going to be very good. So likely, you're most likely to only hit 2 out of your 4 attacks, but what you do hit, you're going to hit pretty well with. But his melee is really neither here nor there. The main thing is you are going to make your vehicles hit freaking hard. I love it. I freaking love it. And that, my friends, is the last data sheet. That is our full discussion of the Space Wolves Codex. You guys let me know. I started this off with a lot of salt because I went from having 6,500 points of Space Wolves and I barely have a functional army anymore. And it's frustrating to me. But the rest of the Codex is so good that I'm actually feeling excited and inspired about rebuilding it. Let me know what you guys all think about this Codex down in the description below. And I think this is one of our most on-topic live chats that we've had in a long time. This was very focused on just the Codex. So it's been a great having you guys along for this discussion. Man, we went a whole hour and 15 minutes over our usual show time. That is crazy, but I appreciate everybody who joined us because I wasn't here. You're very much on topic most of the night. Thank you. And Oversoul, it's I had some strong thoughts on this Codex is all it was. But it's been great having you all of you here for the show. I really appreciate you guys. If you guys liked tonight's discussion on Codex Space Wolves, a Codex that's very near and dear to my heart, I will show it again. I am a 10-year Space Wolves fan, and I'm still in love with the new Codex, despite the fact that this Codex hurt me. They made me excited and about a lot of things and love a lot of things about this Codex. If you guys like tonight's discussion, please make sure that you grab up an ox and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop us comments down below. Let us know of what you think about any of this stuff regarding the Space Wolves discussions, or let me know what you're hobbying along on. Or if you're a Let's Player like my friend Oversoul, let me know what you're video gaming on. I saw you put out the last episode of, what was it called? Something of Midnight. I'm so good at remembering stuff, guys. I do like to give Oversoul a shout out. Soul is a great friend of mine and does great Let's Play content. South of Midnight, Part 6, The End, just came out today. Check out his channel. Watch some of his Let's Plays. He is a great entertainer. If you haven't yet, also check out Auspex Tactics' original video down in the description below. Please, I gathered the news from his content and wanted to talk about it, but I'm in no means trying to steal his content. So please check out his original video. And yeah, if you guys are not yet subscribed to myself or any of my friends, in the link tree down below, the Friends of the Wolf Brother Hobbies, and I'd really like for you to check it out and be part of the pack here on the Wolf Brother Hobbies. Until next time, guys, stay frosty.